who's actually going to get the most out of a 14-inch gaming laptop, who can safely walk away, and does the price make sense for the everyday player? Those are the three questions that keep most buyers up at night, especially when the hype around OLED and RTX starts to feel like marketing noise rather than real value. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's break down why the HP OMEN Transcend 14 might be the right fit or the wrong one for you, and how its strengths and compromises play out in a typical day of gaming, streaming, and getting work done. First off, the biggest source of hesitation with any ultra-portable gaming machine is the trade-off between size and performance. A 14-inch chassis promises you can toss the laptop into a backpack and still hit a coffee shop, but you also risk throttling when you push the GPU hard. The Transcend's core is a 15th-gen Intel Ultra 7255H that can sprint up to 5.1 GHz, paired with an RTX 5068 GB graphics card. In real-world testing, that combination handles most current titles at 1080p with medium to high settings without dropping below 60 frames per second. Games like Valorant and Apex Legends feel buttery, while more demanding titles such as Cyberpunk 2077 sit comfortably at 1080p with a mix of medium textures and DLSS-enhanced performance. If you're a competitive player who values high refresh rates over absolute visual fidelity, the 120Hz OLED screen actually shines, the colors pop, the blacks are deep, and motion looks crisp. That's a genuine advantage you'll notice the moment you start a fast-paced shooter. But the same OLED panel brings a hidden cost, power draw. OLEDs are beautiful, but they can sip more juice than a standard LCD, especially when you crank the brightness up to 300 nits or more for a sunny room. The Transcend's battery life, according to user anecdotes floating around forums, tends to hover around 3 to 4 hours of mixed usage. Gaming for an hour will drop you to about a 20% charge. If you're looking for a laptop that can survive a full day of classes and a couple of gaming sessions without hunting for an outlet, you might be better off with a more modest display. Storage is where the Transcend really flexes. A 2TB PCIe NVMe SSD gives you ample room for a growing game library, massive video projects, and all the AI-assisted tools you might want to run on the side. The drive's read/write speeds are fast enough that loading screens vanish in a blink, and the extra capacity eliminates the need for external drives unless you're a collector of ultra-high-resolution assets. That's a practical win for anyone who streams, edits, or does any sort of content creation on the side of their gaming. RAM is another point that often trips up buyers. With 32 GB of LPDDR5X on board, multitasking feels effortless. I've run Discord, Photoshop, a web browser with a dozen tabs, and a game all at once, and the system never hit a noticeable slowdown. The catch is that the memory is soldered, so you can't upgrade later. If you think you'll need more than 32 GB down the road, perhaps for heavy 3D rendering or running multiple VMs, you're locked in at purchase. For most gamers, however, 32 GB is already more than enough, and it gives you headroom for future game patches that become more array-hungry. Now let's talk ports. The laptop includes two USB-C 3.2 ports with Thunderbolt 4 support, an HDMI output, and the added portable DockStorm USB hub that ships in the box. The hub gives you extra USB-A slots, an SD card reader, and a quick charge port, turning a cramped laptop edge into a mini dock without the bulk of a full-size docking station. In practice, I was able to connect a 144Hz external monitor, a mechanical keyboard, and a mouse, all while keeping the laptop on a CAF table. That kind of flexibility is a real-world advantage that many 14-inch gaming laptops overlook. So, who should actually consider spending on the OMEN Transcend 14? If you're a gamer who travels a lot, lives in a dorm, or simply prefers a laptop that won't dominate your desk, the portability combined with a solid RTX 5060 and 120Hz OLED makes for a compelling package. It also works well for creators who need a high-resolution screen for color-critical work. The OLED's 3K resolution, 2880x1800, gives you a lot of screen real estate for timelines and photo editing. while the RTX GPU can accelerate rendering in programs like Blender or Premiere Pro. And because the machine runs Windows 11 Pro, you get the extra management tools that freelancers and small team developers appreciate. On the flip side, you might want to skip this model if any of the following sound familiar. You're a hardcore AAA enthusiast who wants to game at 1440p or 4K on a high refresh display. You need a massive battery that can last a full workday without a charger, or you plan to upgrade components over time. The 14-inch screen, while gorgeous, simply doesn't give you the visual feel that a 15.6-inch or larger panel provides, which can be a disadvantage in open-world titles where peripheral vision matters. Additionally,